Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Carmen Bryan. This is Car Chronicles, and I'm just coming on here just to give some words of encouragement to all the mothers on Mother's Day. Y'all ready? Let's do it. Happy Mother's Day to all the queens out there. Happy Mother's Day to those of you that are having a restart all over again. Those of you that have left some bad situation, domestic violence, narcissist abuse. Those of you that had to take your children and flee for safety. Those of you that may have ended up in shelters. Those of you that have started off from scratch, those of you that make Christmas and Thanksgiving the best that you can possibly make it. But the thing is that you're at peace with your children. Those of you that have made mistakes in the past, and some of you are looking at your own children who have very strong narcissist traits or that have started handling you and you realize that my child is now a narcissist. You did the best that you can with the little knowledge that you had. If you came from domestic violence, if you came from traumatic childhood experiences, you did the best that you could do with your children. And that doesn't mean that you were a bad parent. You did the best that you could possibly do. There comes a time where children make choices, and some of those choices hurt you even more, especially as a parent. If you go back and you watch today's service, today is hold on, let me see what day it is. May 12th. Mother's Day, May 12th, today's Sunday. I want you to go into my mother's site, is Into His Chambers Global Ministry. She did a sermon today in reference to mothers and parenting. And some of you have grown up in traumatic experiences, and some of you did the best that you could do with the little knowledge that you had. You made mistakes and you're blaming yourself for some of the choices that your children are making. Even if your children have, become narcissists or have gotten narcissistic personality disorder, there's only so much that you can do. There's only so much, and she's bringing it to you from a spiritual standpoint from the church, talking about prayer and praying for your children. And then she also discusses, this new generation of parents and some parents that just don't want to be parents. You grew up in a household, or you have children and you don't want to parent. You got the older people that don't want to be parents that are in the clubs like their kids are in the club. You wondering why your children have no respect because you don't want to be a parent. You got to parent your children. Your children are not your friends. If friendship comes later on in the relationship, maybe then you can add that to the list, but you're a parent first, always. You're always a parent first. And when you're raising your children, there's no reason why you should be afraid of your kids. Some of you are literally afraid of your children. How is it that you give birth to someone and the baby that you carried in your womb for 9 months, the baby that you birthed and suckled from your breast or from the bottle, this tiny little thing that you raised, that you became afraid of it probably by the age of 2? How did you become afraid of this child, and this child is running you and you're trying to parent out of emotion? Do you know that, just like she said, parenting is one of the hardest things that you ever have to do, the most rewarding thing, but the most challenging and hardest thing you ever have to do? And some of you have come from bad backgrounds, horrible backgrounds, and your mindset is that, I'm not going to discipline my children like my parents disciplined. And that's fine, However, you still got to discipline them. I think it was Dr. Peterson. I can't think of his first name, Dr. Peterson. He said that your responsibility is to raise your child up to be an acceptable human being to society by the age of 4. Some of you are raising children. You don't want nobody to say nothing. Back in the day, it took a village to raise a child. Your aunt, your grandmama, friends, they have something to say to your kids. Now, I understand that some people didn't like your kids and they abused your kids. So I understand that there's a limitation as to who's going to say something. But this generation, a lot of these parents now don't say nothing to my kid, don't say nothing, but yet they're entering into my space. They're entering into my space. They're entering around people, and you don't put any guidelines or boundaries on your children. You allow your children to do whatever they want to do, and you dare anybody to say something to your child. You are setting your child up for future bullying, for future abuse. You're setting your child up for failure in society. You are raising a child that is entitled. No one can say nothing to me. Isn't that how a narcissist is? Nobody can say nothing to me. You don't say nothing to me. I feel entitled. I can. And if I come around, I can do this. Some of you go to people's houses and let your child tear their houses up, and then the owners don't say anything to you. You come to my house, your child running around acting a fool, I'm going to say something to your kid, and I'm going to say something to you if you say something to me, because get your child. Then you wonder why people don't want to be around your child. You wonder why people don't want you around, and they don't want to be around your kid. And I remember growing up, it wasn't that I didn't like kids. I just didn't like being around children that were undisciplined and their parents thought it was cute and their parents didn't discipline. Children that will walk around hitting adults, kicking adults, pinching adults, and the parents thought it was cute because they were being kids. No, get your child. Because see, when you turn your back, that same child that is doing that you allow do that, see, people do stuff behind your back to hurt your child, and you wondering why your child is all of a sudden, afraid, or their whole personality has changed because of the fact that you're not disciplining. Your discipline is going to protect your child in the future. Discipline is going to protect your child when your child grows up, because you may love your baby, but the world does not. And if you raise your child guarded and nobody can say nothing to you nor your kid, and we just won't come around, you are setting your child up for failure. You're setting your child up to be hurt in the future, and not just emotionally hurt, but also physically hurt by someone. Because some people are narcissists and some people are just totally crazy. They will purposely get back at you by doing something to your kid. Isn't that what a narcissist does? And so some of you guys, you got to parent your kids. You got to parent your kids. You got to discipline your kids. It doesn't matter how much it hurts you. Well, my parents used to do this. Okay, well, don't do it the way your parents did it, because your parents did it. They were disciplining, but they did it with the wrong intention. They did it with the wrong mindset. They did it with the wrong heart. You do it with the right heart. You don't do it while you're angry, but you discipline your children. You make sure that there's rules and there's boundaries. You make sure that you let them know no means no, and they don't run over you. But some of you guys let your kids run your household and run you. And that's the same thing that my mother was saying today. Some of you guys are letting these little kids run your household. They tell you what to do, and you're afraid to say anything to them. And a little 2-year-old is afraid to say anything to you, is afraid, you are afraid of the little 2-year-old, and they're wrecking havoc and tearing up stuff. A lot of you sit these kids in front of electronics, like she says, sit them in front of electronics and telephones and everything, and they're so addicted to electronics and everything that you take it away, and they cause pure hell in your house. You can't do anything until you give them. I was watching a little kid and they thought it was cute. They took the phone out of the kid's hand. The baby started having a temper tantrum and kicking his feet and screaming out loud and everything. Like my kids say, bruh, you wouldn't have got it back. I don't care how much you scream and yell. But they gave the phone back. So what you're doing is you're rewarding poor behavior. Now, some of you guys did the best that you could. Some of you guys didn't have the knowledge. You didn't have, because you didn't get that from home either. You didn't get that. So you don't even know how to raise a child. You did the best that you can. And like Maya Angelou, forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. Maya Angelou, you got to forgive yourself because you didn't know. And you can't go back and change anything. Now you just have to work from where you are. And some of you guys know that, unfortunately, the child's got NPD. And you see how they treat you and mistreat you and talk to you. But even the way that they treat you and mistreat you, do you know that you can cut your own kids off? Do you know that you can also go no contact with your kids? We talk about it all the time. Your children are included. And if your child does not know how to respect you, if your child does not know how to honor you and they disrespect you, every time you get on the phone, they cuss you out. Every time they get around you, they cuss you out. They don't ever have anything. If you don't agree with them about something, they cuss you out. They go off on you. They say whatever they want to say. Okay, let me tell you something. Now, I know a lot of you guys are not Bible believers, but I am. And the Bible says, honor thy mother and thy father. Even if your parents may have been narcissists, honoring and respecting your parent may mean cutting your parents off. It may mean going no contact with your parent because you know how you are. And instead of you deciding, I'm going to cuss you out, I'm going to go off on you, I'm going to put my hands on you, sometimes it's better to respect and honor your parents by cutting them off. I'm going to cut you off to avoid dishonoring you and disrespecting you. So I will limit my conversations with you. So that means that I can honor you and respect you from a distance, but I don't have to talk to you or engage with you because I'm going to honor you and I'm going to respect you and I'm going to respect what you are. And I know what you're going to do to try to hurt me, to cause me to react. Likewise with children. If your children are going to dishonor you and bring a curse to themselves, like we talk about in the church, then it might be best for you to go ahead and cut them off. Sometimes you're going to have to block them. Sometimes you're going to have to cut them off. Because if they can't if they can't honor you, or they're threatening to hurt you, or they're cussing you out, it just means that you really can't have a conversation with them. But you are always the parent, regardless. And you also have to learn the ages that they are and how you parent. Can't parent an adult the same way you parent a child. That's control. You have to learn how to parent the different ages. You have to learn it. But thank you so much for joining me, and I hope each and every one of you have a happy Mother's Day. Hold your head up, be encouraged, and I love you. You guys have a happy Mother's Day, and I'll see you this week. Bye, y'all.